This is a meeting of the Allegheny County Board of Property Assessment of Bills and Review. I would like the roll call.
Mr. Sewell.
Here.
Mr. Snipe.
Here.
Mr. Bergstein. Here. Ms. Thornton.
Here.
Ms. Montgomery Thompson. I'm here in the forum.
We have a quorum. We received the minutes from the May 8th meeting. Is there any motion to approve the minutes of the May 8th?
What's that? We approve the minutes of May 8th.
Good. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. We have next public comments, Ms. Baldwin. I see that some folks are here to address the board.
Yes, there are quite a few people in here. I just want to identify who they are. I know Mr. Holy is on my report. There's a John Brumberg. Mr. Brumberg, are you just observing or are you addressing the board this morning?
I'm just observing. It's nice to see everyone. Thanks for letting me listen in.
Wonderful. And then we have
Peter Wolf, same thing, just observing. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
We only have one.
Yes, we just have one. And that's Mr. Holy.
Go ahead.
We'll
If
take
you want to
that.
give us a preface.
Sure. Sure. Mr. Holy is here, our present before the board today to request an opportunity to file a special appeal form for tax year 2025. So he was subject to a North Allegheny School District a timely filed appeal for 2025 in September. That hearing was scheduled for November 20th on October 18th. However, there was a suspend placed on the hearing file with OPA, and I believe it was triggered by a permit. So on November 1st, OPA suspended the hearing file based on a permit, and they went out to do a field check.
Okay.
So that was completed on December 3rd. A notice of assessment change was sent out to Mr. Holy. In the meantime, the suspend status was the hearing file record was taken out of the suspend status and rescheduled for April 28th. So it was rescheduled from November 20th to April 28th. On the day of the hearing, April 28th, the school district appeal, they withdrew it. He called in and inquired. He called into to the appeals department and spoke with Mr. Cohen to inquire about the scheduled hearing because he thought he would have a hearing. And that's when he says he learned about the notice of assessment change that went out in December. He never received the notice of assessment change.
Did you contact OPA?
Yes, he did. He contacted the appeals department, Howard. But in the meantime, an interim appeal went out for 2024, May 6th, was mailed out to him. So they were mailed out months apart. But his position is that had he known about the notice of assessment change for tax year 2025, he would have filed one. So he would like to have his 2024 interim appeal joined with his 2025.
Thank you. You may speak, sir.
Yes, just to kind of yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just, kind of rehashing what Barbara had laid out for you. I got all these mailings from, numerous attorneys. I had spoke to a couple of attorneys and, they told me whenever I get that 30-day special appeal form, change notice that to reach out to them because I had gotten some, information from all of them, but I never got that form. And I just assumed it was based upon this interim tax bill not being completed. And, when I got the notification for the hearing that was scheduled like in November, I just assumed all that stuff was based upon whatever protocols that you guys do. And I never received this December 3rd papered 30-day change notice thing because I never got it. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it's like hard to, prove what's came in my mail, what did not. I check my mail, every day, and I was looking for this interim assessment change. When I bought the house, the sales agent told me that to look for the interim notice, you'll have to probably pay, a tax, difference from 2024. And I never got anything. And the only thing that I've gotten was the information about hearings with the school board, filing their appeals. And then I finally got the one on May 6th, just that Barbara had indicated, for the notice of interim assessment, comparing the land value from 8,500 to 133,000. So that's the only thing that I got in terms of notification. And, obviously I have filed for that 30-day special appeal with that. And so that's kind of where I stand. And I'm asking the board to
We
consider.
identified the problem. What would you like to see happen, sir?
I would like to be able to have that opportunity from the December 3rd mailing reopen for that 30-day change notice from 2024 to be able to appeal it.
All right, thank you. Any board member want to comment on this?
We're waiting, what happened?
Yeah,
What can we say? It's confusing, go back and listen to all the testimony.
what's your pleasure?
My pleasure that we grant the request.
There's a motion to grant your request. Second. Any other discussion? I think we needed.
What's the lot and block?
Lot and block is 1654 A as an apple, 67.
No further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Congratulations. All right,
Thank you.
Barbara, you received something from.
Right, I will follow up with you, an email. I believe you may have the special appeal form. If not, we can send it to you so you can complete that. So we can get
Okay.
it on the schedule with your 2024 interim.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
You're
Sure.
welcome.
The solicitors report, Chuck.
Thank you, Mr. Schooley. I only have some legislative acts cleanups today. You'll see we have a pretty comprehensive list. This was a pretty heavy day of hearings. And these were heard in April. And just for your own clarification, I have the next legislative hearing acts are scheduled for June 2nd on the report. It's actually June 4th. I got my date. I made a typo there. It's June 4th. So for anyone who's going to attend, it is on June 4th. These were municipality tax challenges to properties that already had tax exempt status. The panel determined that they did not present any evidence sufficient to change the status. So our recommendation would be to deny the challenge and maintain the tax exempt status on the parcels as listed. The first parcel is 11 K as in kangaroo 135, and the last parcel is 28 G as in George 110 tiebreaker.
That list.
Sorry.
That list.
And,
Inclusive,
okay, so this will become part of the record.
correct.
Any discussion? Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve the recommendation for Emerson Webb.
Is there a second? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next,
And I would just ask for a brief executive session following the meeting.
yeah, I was gonna do that. Yeah, item number 5, office property assessment report. Who is giving the report today?
I am. Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
again, you have received our report for tax years 2020 through 2025. We do still have a few more hearings that we will be scheduling sometime in the month of June. And I believe Ms. Shrimp did make reference to the exemption hearings that we have scheduled for June 4th. That is actually all I have.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, items for consideration, Ms. Baldwin.
Yes, we
You
took
have
care
4
of,
of them, I believe.
we took care of the 6A under
Oh.
comments. The next one, 6B, is late filed appeal for parcel ID 492L319. Parcel ID 25M, the Mary 107 and 180F 75. BPAAR received these late file appeal requests. And Ms. Shrimp, or solicitor, reviewed all of these requests and then has made a recommendation to deny all the requests as they did not meet the requirements on its face.
Is that in A and B?
Just the,
Just.
just the right here, late file appeals for those three parcels that I read into the record.
So. Wait,
I was,
so,
I was doing work for Barbara.
okay,
And as you all know, late file appeals are extraordinary relief, so these did not meet the threshold. It's
Yeah,
funny how many you get that, like, my wife lost the paperwork.
My dog ate it.
My dog ate it.
Motion to deny the deal for late file. That's for late file. The parcels and stuff.
in a second, anyone, second, any other further discussion? All those in favor of denying the request, denying the late appeals? Motion is carried. Ms. Baldwin,
The next 160 is request to reissue dispositions with the current date. These were from attorney Michael Warner. He is requesting the reissue dispositions of the current date for parcels ID 4L 179 and 27G 197. And he basically, for one, he received an original disposition way back in June or July of last year. And one of the parcels, Mr. Fabian brought to our attention that should be corrected. We did an administrative review and the original notice was overturned and a new disposition of this went out. And he was questioning as to why that occurred. So in the meantime, while I was getting back to him, time lapse, and he lost the opportunity to go to the BOD. So he's just asking for us to reissue disposition, and I would recommend that we grant that for those parcels.
very good. Is there a motion to approve the request? That's just read into the record. And that parcel ID again? 4L 179. 27G. Good. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Next.
And the last one is just to rescind and reissue for just an error correction. And that one, and this one particularly was from Mr. Fabian, where it was a BLA request that he submitted a couple weeks ago. And we reviewed it.
For the record, Mr. Fabian is the county's chief assessor. Anyone tuning in?
So it's just an error correction. We'll go ahead and.
Now is the record.
And that's for parcel, it's only one, and that's for parcel ID 462 S as in Sam 366.
What's your pleasure?
I'm recommending we include as read as the record.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Reading.
And that's all I had.
Good. We have the board approval list that were sent out. We have interims. We have tax years 22, 23, 24, and 25. I will read the first parcel on all these. 7A is 570 H as in Harry 66. Interim tax year 2023. Parcel ID 917 C as in Charlie 25. Steve, interim tax year 2024. 828 R as in Richard 110. D, parcel ID 336K as in kangaroo, okay. 49. Item E, tax year 2023, parcel ID 168. L as in Larry 44. F, tax year 2024, first parcel I, J, was that a one? Yeah, that's a one. Okay, 1J is in Jack 92, and the last one is G, tax year 2025, parcel ID 342, A is in Apple 196. Is there a motion to approve the approval list? Do I recall? Motion.
Second.
Are there any recusals by any of the board members? No. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Next, my report. I attended the Allegheny County Council meeting last night, and I've been discussing this bill that has been sitting out there since October of 2024. They call it the Macy bill, and the bill passed last night, 12-1. It will give total autonomy to the Board of Property Assessment. Just for the record, I served on the board back in the night before some of the people in this room were probably foreign. And at that time, the Board of Property Assessment Appeals handled the administration of the appeals process for Allegheny County credit. Home rule government came in and changed it. Terry, Mr. Macy and I talked about this back in October. And he said basically that the people who make the assessment, if I wanted to appeal that assessment, the entity that processes the appeal should not be involved in it. It should be two separate bodies. So we've always been, correct me if I'm wrong, Trent, we are a quasi judicial agency
That is correct.
and we are independent. And the bill, once signed by the county executive, will make us totally independent. In other words, we would not report to the county executive, county council. We would give them reports every week.
And they still fund us.
Oh, yeah. And, first thing they told me was once the county executive will sign off on it. So we know that last night. So it becomes law once signs the bill. So we have 7 months to work through transition. And we will come up with new job descriptions. People that are processing that now will have an opportunity to be part of that process and do a bidding process, but we will have some changes. So I will contact, once we get the bill through, I will contact the county manager, administrative services, and go over, hope we have a smooth transition over the next 7 months. Will the public see any changes? Well, if the public calls someone, the person they'll be talking to will be a BPAAR, an appeals board employee, not.
If they call the right number.
Well, we're gonna make sure that's gonna be our
Because
responsibility.
sometimes they do stuff
We're
in the
gonna get-
treasurer's office.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna get that. Well, they call the county executive's office too, and they tell them to call. But there's a lot of work to do. I have to prepare a budget for next year. This is effective January 1, so it's a 7-month period. I would like to have seen the bill passed 3 months ago, but the solicitors for the county council and the county worked on this many months, many hours. So that's where we are. There's a story about it in today's newspaper. It was accurate. So room was full last. Interesting. Well, as I said, was 12-1. So that's my report. Any questions? Because I really don't want to get in the weeds. I think I did. Just enough. We will become independent. Next, the board member assignments. I get to go first. So board members have received a copy of the revised appeal form for next year. Back, Mr. Fabian, you and I had a conversation the other day with Ms. Snyder, and this form, I'm so proud of this form because this was my duty, my responsibility. There's an old story about Benjamin Franklin writing his friend a handwritten letter, 18 pages long. And the first sentence says, "I'm sorry, I apologize for the lengthy letter but I didn't have enough time to edit. So this took a lot of time just to make this plain language. I ran it by my cousin Eddie. I don't really have a cousin Eddie, but I had to come up with something. Cousin Eddie looked at the last year's form and he said it was intimidating. Cousin Eddie says this is less intimidating. And if you'll notice, the owner, and I said this to our solicitor before the meeting, the owner has to touch this. They have to sign this form before anyone else, a third party, represents them. So we also have an authorized representative form. So it's a little more work for the authorizer after we talked about this. But I would like to present this for approval only because Mary Beth Snyder, you told me the IT department said June 1st was the drop dead deadline. Am I right? Are you there?
Yes, that's the date they gave to get everything ready for the online equivalent to the form.
So I'd like to ask the board to sign off on this. So opiate.
No,
You're gonna have to hold, sir.
then she sent me an email. That's what she had any questions about some spacing.
Who did?
We're back.
The content of the form, I think, is what Mr. Sully wanted. The spacing will need a little finessing, just for eyeballs.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's mine. But yeah, we can do that. So is there a motion to approve the 2026 appeal form for Allegheny County?
Motion that we approve the 6 Allegheny County.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
Just that Ms. Trump pointed out the one change that she thought should be made on it.
Okay. People wanting to tell, you're the board member. Do you want to make a change?
Says,
Chief? What you said wasn't correct. You and I talked about it.
Well,
There's correct and then there's adding more
it was a
stuff.
suggestion only
Right.
because I could tell you when I sat on this board, the reason that was added was to streamline the process so that there wasn't extra data entry. That was the reason the authorized rep line was added way back in the day, because I was.
So we talked about this earlier and you agreed with me that
It's
are-
not necessary.
that it's not necessary. You've already seen the rest of it. Also, there have been situations where someone is representing a property owner before us and the property owner didn't even know about it. So I want the property owner to touch. What I mean is sign this form first. And then if I'm a third party and you hire me, I have to do a little more work. That-
And I do agree with what Mr. Rusuli did say. We have had
Yes.
people represent, and I'm using air quotes if you're not watching, represent that they represent a property owner and they do not. And that has been an issue in the last few years.
And the other reason I wanted more white space on there. It's less intimidating. It's more plain language, in my opinion. In 2022, 90% of the appeals before this board were by taxing jurisdictions. 90%. Last year it was 60-40, 40% property owners. June 18th, the STEB board will meet and certify the CLR for next year. So I see more property owners filling out these forms. And I believe some property owners may not hire a third party. They might do it themselves. So I wanted to make it less intimidating. That's my little speech. So any other discussion on the form? We have a second. Motion and second. Good. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The 2026 appeal form is approved. Ms. Snyder, it's a go. All right,
Thank you.
next. Board member Susan Thornton Lara, you want to give us an update on your frequently asked questions?
Certainly. I came up with some frequently asked questions and wrote them up. Barbara's hopefully going to type them up for me and put some hyperlinks in there. The questions are just simple. Should I file an appeal? How to file an appeal? What to do looking for evidence. And then when you get your scheduled appeal, and how to do the day of the appeal. So, and hopefully we can all look at that and write in what they think needs added or deleted, things like that.
Right. And as I said 2 weeks ago, today is drop it day. It's not, we don't have to vote on it because we haven't seen it, but it will be ready for possible approval in 2 weeks, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And
Correct.
Barbara, you have a little more work to typing them up.
No problem.
Very good. Thank you. Next, board member, Richard Snipe.
We have presented to the board several meetings ago, the rules and regulations, some modifications to that. There were some comments, some adjustments made. So board has any other adjustments they'd like to make, we can do that and we finalize it
Today or 2 weeks?
in 2 weeks.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Yeah, and you did submit it to us. Good, very good. Next, board member, Michelle Pianta.
I have a draft copy in the back.
Of the hearing.
Yes. Of the hearing. There were two going around up there, so I combined them, tried to simplify them. I think a lot of them I sent to Mr. Laren can be actually part of the FAQ instead of the hearing tips.
Fine.
Yeah, so
Did you ever find out why there were 2 tips? Sheets?
I can tell you.
So, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So there was an original tip sheet that we
Yeah.
created, that had been floating around since before I joined board in 2002 or 2009.
Is that the laminated version?
And then, that was always floating around. And then when COVID happened and they went to telephone, they did a separate telephone tip sheet, thinking that telephone would go away and they could just rip it up and we
Who's they?
the board, the board and OPA working together,
Together.
thought that we just do a temporary telephone sheet, assuming that we would return to in-person hearings. And then.
You know what, I think
Both
we'll
of them
agree.
persisted,
One form is all we need.
but that's
It's
how
nice
two
to
came
be
about.
easy.
But that's how two came about.
And see, this is why I wanted each board member to be involved in this process. So in 2 weeks, it's a go.
yeah, I have the draft back there. So there are a couple things that need to be
Yeah.
finalized.
Everything is a draft until we approve it. All right, thank you. And Mr. Ferguson, hearing officer training.
Gathered together. Training. Still haven't heard from the board members as to feedback, which I have for weeks now. It's, regarding recommendations. Someone going on with the hearing officers at this point. I still like that before I put the final draft together, what I'm going to do. And get together. Small one and see what multimedia we will have for presentation.
Good, so in 2 weeks, you'll present the training.
Yeah, 2 week time frame, but
2 weeks ago, I said, today, give us an update and hopefully present something and we can always modify it. Just for us to chew. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ferguson. So that concludes all the reports. No old business. Yes, I have to put this on there. Property record cards. Mr. Fabian, our chief assessor. I asked you months ago if it's possible to upload the property record cards into the portal, and the administration said no. Correct? Not correct.
When we upload, no. You have access to them.
Okay, but you said no, you won't do it.
No, it didn't say no, we wouldn't do it. I came back to you and said, you have
Well, will you?
access. And each one of your systems has a run reports link, which runs the property record card. Each one of your computer systems, because I checked them all with Barbara.
So if I'm a
Hearing
property
officer.
owner, when will I see that property record card? Will I see it 10 days before the hearing or after the hearing?
It would depend on when you upload it.
So,
I told you that we were not going to, everything on the left side of that window is the property record.
I hear you.
Okay, and you also have access to it, the run reports link. Which I said I could have it activated for you. And since you're going to be independent, you
Well,
can run your own report there.
Here's my independence. We will hear the evidence and weigh the evidence. We will not create the evidence. Let me finish. But in our FAQs, and Ms. Payanto, I think Barbara talked to both of you about this. We're going to put in there the information to the property owner on how to obtain a property record. Ms. Baldwin, could you give us a report on how a property owner would be able to do that prior to the hearing?
Yes. So a property owner looking to get access to a property record card would need to visit the real estate department on the first floor
In the county office?
in the county office
Does
building.
it have to come downtown to get the property record?
Correct. And to get a printout of the property record
How much
card.
is it per page?
I don't know how much it is.
$1.
It's $1. Okay,
Okay.
great. They have to go to the copy desk, which is station 13.
Station 13.
Yes, and someone will assist them with creating that PRC, that property record card.
So our two board members that are going to put out, I think, news and tips, we're going to give you the right. Now, there's a second avenue. You can get the property record card if you're a property owner for free. Am I right?
Via email, as I understood it to
Who would you
be.
have to email?
You would have to contact Michelle Dawson-Smith and
Michelle Dawson,
BPAAR
and she works in the office of
for the
property.
assessment. Yes.
So we're going to have the property owners contact Michelle Dawson-Smith, and she will email the property
She can
record.
email, yes, she can
And
email.
what is the cost for that?
Excuse me, they would not want to contact Michelle Dawson-Smith. They would want to contact our public information, which would be Miss Marion or Mrs. Bernadine Shipman, or they can contact the Land Help email.
You know what? Just send, Ms. Brooks, can you just send an email? Because we were told differently from somebody from OPA. That's okay. I just want to get this right. If I'm a property owner and I receive a form on my appeal saying, hey, you might want to look at the information on your property record. The property record card, for everyone knows this here, but the property record card has more information than what you see on the internet, much more. And that's where the property owner can say, that's wrong. Have them look at it prior to the hearing. So Ms. Brooks, I'm fine with that. But Ms. Brooks, am I right? If they contact those two Office of Property Assessment employees, they will email the property record card for free. Is that correct? Carolyn, are you still there? Uh-oh. You don't know the answer to that. Mary Beth Snyder, do you know the answer to that?
We do not charge for emailed property record cards.
So those two employees have phone numbers that we can just put the phone numbers in and you call them and they'll email it to you. Or you can email it to Appeal Help. Is that right?
That was Land Help.
Land.
That was
Help.
the easiest way, so that we actually get their email addresses and people are not trying to get them over the phone, is for them to use the real estate portal and use the button, which pops up on their screen, and they can put in the request. People do it all the time.
Not everyone.
Not everyone, but I can vouch that people do make that request.
You know what? I just want people to know if they're going to file an appeal that there's the assessor's work product is out there, and maybe you might want to look at it before. That's all. Because maybe it's wrong. Yeah. Maybe it's correct. All right, whatever. Thank you. We'll nail that down within the next 2 weeks, Barbara.
Yes.
To work with OPA on how we put that information out there.
I heard some things.
In the property record. Good. Also, I don't know if I need board approval for this, but because we're in a transition period, there's OPA and there's BPAAR. the BPAAR is the Appeals Board, OPA is the Assessment Office. I'm gonna request an audit, okay? I don't know if we've ever been audited. We had, when was the last time? It was
2018.
2018, so we haven't been audited in 7 years. I just want a starting point. 10 years from now, somebody can look at where we were in 2025 and where we're gonna be in 10 years. Because we don't have a lot of employees.
The reason I made the base is the
Yeah.
amount of work for Ms. Baldwin to gather the information for an audit in a transition year. Perhaps maybe next year might be the better.
Well, the only reason I'm gonna push back is the controller's office will make recommendations.
Right, no, they do.
See,
but-
well, and the recommendations would be helpful during transition, not after we ready, set, go, and then we have the audit, and then there's, we keep changing.
I just remember going through
It could
it,
take 6 months.
and I remember the amount of work it was.
Yeah.
It was Erica Similo at the time, and I remember the amount of work Erica had to put into that
Yeah.
audit. Was substantial, and I just worry that I don't want to take Barbara's time from the transition where she's gonna be key to shepherding documents, which is a lot of the audit. They want to see this document, they want to see that document.
Robert, were you involved in that audit?
No, it's not.
This is
Oh.
before Barbara's time. Sarah.
Okay, but what did they audit?
It was a full-fledged audit. I'm sure we can find the audit report for you.
Yeah, get that to me and I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
Because, if we don't have a staff, and all we do is call the hearing officers or down. I don't know what else we do because we don't process the appeals cradle to grave. That's OPAs.
Audited files. I know a couple of, just, and this is public record, so it's not a big deal for me to say it. I remember we got dinged a couple on a couple because the appeal form wasn't in the file. And,
That's okay.
the notes weren't like, but that's the kind of stuff and they would just do random. So then, Erica at the time had to go to
That was when we used paper.
right, into the basement. But we were
Let's
still-
do this in 2 weeks. We don't
Sound
need
good,
to
sound
have
good. We'll
this.
find it. That's just my business.
Yeah.
Want to bog Barbara down
Yeah,
the time when she needed.
good. So we're going